So when we're talking about the reasons why we would want to regulate IT or even just information systems, um, from the professional standpoint, is because there is a lot of pressure from companies to find employees who will do unethical behavior for them, and that's because at the end, there is nothing holding a company really accountable in that process. So it's really up to the company and the people in that company to kind of push an ethical standard that differs from company to company. There's no actual universal standard, except for some laws that have been put in place, but things can get very gray very quickly. And because there isn't a codified ethical standard across the system, across the entire industry, it it can shift greatly between company to company, where each company could feel that they're acting ethically or morally because it's legally possible. There isn't really a board of ethics that's going to verify their use of that data. So I believe that the best route forward is actually to regulate the professionals going into the field, because then we can act in a way where, like, we have to maintain our licensure, we can and can't do this. It also puts a pressure upon the institution to hire regulated employees, for licensed employees, because if they're unlicensed, that says a lot about what the products of that company will produce. So it's another way of helping maintain a safe environment, uh, uh, development for the general public, um, in this industry. And there are some good reasons for the IT professional to be regulated. We have increased value that we bring to a company because we have to go through a licensure process, which means higher education, and we also have to maintain our licensure. That means we bring significant more value to a company because the company can have some trust in the employees that they will also act as an ethical guidance for their company because we are held to these standards. Um, just as with companies that hire lawyers, the company themselves are not necessarily bound to certain legal ethics that lawyers are bound to. And the way the lawyers are bound to those legal ethics can help inform the practice of that company. And this goes with doctors and any other regulated fields. Um, so it increases our paycheck essentially because we are a higher commodity for a company. It also enforces different security measures to be standardized in ethical applications, uh, within for data usage, in general. Because if you go through a licensure process, we all have a consensus on what can and can't be used across the board. We have a codified rules for us to follow. So if we have a question, then we will have resources for us to go against. We could have ethical boards set up for those purposes to have these discussions and also hold the companies accountable. Because in the end, I do not believe a free market system um, is is the best way to move forward without regulating the individuals. Because it's really hard to really regulate the companies themselves because they can be birthed fairly quickly, um, and it's harder to regulate companies to be licensed to practice when IT has high availability. So the individual process makes sense, and when you have the individuals who are licensed, they they're going to be higher educated. They're going to have a standards of practice that's going to be maintained through their renewal process. So as new scripting requirements come out, or we have a more secure method of scripting different login authentications, that can be a part of the licensure renewal process. So we know that we're all up to date on best practices, as well as best use of public data, ethical use of public data, how to conduct ethical mining operations, data mining operations, and how to properly store the information within our databases that we're using for the company.